Making my way through the darkness, a million eyes on me. I don't care, I don't care. Making my way through the spewing, sticking it out just to see. I don't care, I don't care. The moment's come now, so take it. To fight for what I believe, 'cause I can, yeah I can.
Welcome to session 40, y'all, and we have a full house for the first time in a while. Welcome back, Lee.
Thanks.
So, last time on Road to Arlathan, with Kirkwall safe in the hands of Varric, the party planned out their next moves. Ashara, Asira, Bronwyn, and Lila returned to the Viscount's castle with the intention of procuring horses for the journey ahead of them. Here, they found Lila's mother scolding a young elf boy, but the Inquisition warrior quickly stepped in. During this family reunion, Ashara decided it was a good time to get back at Lady Trevelyan for yelling at the boy. Archer made her way to the noblewoman's rooms, stealing a pair of underwear, along with a rather spicy letter sent to her by her husband. Taking some notes from Liliana, Ashara nailed the knickers to the chantry board, exacting her revenge. Meanwhile, back at the cabin, Will pulled Clay aside and admitted that he had begun to remember what had happened between the two of them. They came to a better understanding of their situation, and Will was glad to see his old friend finally happy. With things mended between them, the party went on their way. They traveled through the Vinmark Mountains, going further and further north until they came across 3 golden pools and a shrine to the 3 dragons that had once graced its waters. The party took some time to bathe in these pools, finding themselves blessed by their magic. Continuing onward, they found themselves surrounded by a dense forest, the thrum of magic permeating the air. Spotting the light of campfires in the distance, the party realized they had found what they were looking for, the Elvhen encampment. Banners of the clans of Thedas were raised throughout the camp, including those of Clan Llewellyn and Clan Tabris. Ashara was reunited with Ashan and her parents, while Diani finally had confirmation that she wasn't the only surviving member of her clan. Learning of the task ahead of them, Diani's keeper, Horea, pulled the party aside, where they had much to discuss. So, Horea looks over the group of you, and she says, "Come this way." And she kind of waves. However, as she turns to lead you all back towards her tent, you hear a string of swears coming from the thick brush somewhere behind you, followed by Delia and Nick stumbling into the camp. Branches are stuck into their hair and they're caught on their coats, and they're just kind of scrambling, falling over into the camp.
Sounds about right.
as we're falling into camp, and Julia kind of collects herself after that. Her head will shoot up and look at the group and be like, "Look who I found!"
Me!
Yeah.
Welcome to camp.
I just really want that canon silence to be real. Just the pause.
Just the shock of 2 humans stumbling out of the woods into the middle of a Dalish camp.
Very nice here. Wow.
Gonna pluck some of the sticks out of Nick's hair.
Oh, thanks. Oh, that was bigger than I thought it was. It's kind of So what's going on? What's new? What's the tea?
Valentine might be dead.
Uh,
Have you heard from him? Within, the past couple of days?
no, I've been doing some work with the crows, so I haven't been I've been doing things, but it's not like, it's more like stabbing and killing people, but not like talking with my boyfriend.
You're okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh,
Hey, it's okay. Last time we talked, which was like a while ago, he explained what was going on between you two. You can call me Mom if you want.
she just like she just like holds her hand to her head
Just out.
and walks away. Like, is it? Mm-mm, mm-mm.
The two of you are just in time for a history lesson, so Rashara will gesture for you guys to follow along.
Right. So Hooray leads you all further into the camp, back towards where Diani had originally found her. And she actually kind of like glances over her shoulder just at the camp in general, looking for something. But she opens up the tent flap and gestures for you all to go inside.
And I
Right now.
look around and see if I can figure out what she's looking for, like insight roll or something.
Sure. I would say, I guess, investigation.
Couldn't be insight. I have a +10 in insight. 14.
Okay. So looking around, you do see that there are a few elves that are staring back at the group, but they kind of just stare at you for a minute and then go back to whatever it was they were doing.
Okay, then she's gonna very awkwardly smile at anyone who makes eye contact with her and then duck back in.
Okay. So inside the tent, it's very simple. There's a cot and a desk. She goes and sits at the desk and kind of looks up at you all. And says, "Sorry, I don't have places for you to sit, but the ground here is soft."
Yeah, Ashara just sits down on the ground, no hesitation.
Johnny will sit like at her feet.
Okay. So she looks over all of you and she says, "So he's sending you for the weapons." Well,
Lila immediately like bristles because she figures out who they mean by he and is like,
she looks over at Diani and Ashara and says, "What do you know about these weapons?"
I have notes.
I don't have notes.
I just remember that I had notes on about the weapons themselves, not so much that other than that they're the only weapons supposedly that can defeat the gods.
I remember specifically the bow.
I think there's a spear as well. And something about the location of them, the cave continually moves or something like that. I thought I had notes. They're in this book somewhere. I just remember something vaguely about the location moves and that the other gods can't get inside.
That was Angel's security system, was that the cave was moving around and so they can't find it, and that's why he needed
Here it
us.
Yeah, the Andrew doesn't recall where it is. The cave is warded against the other Evanoris. And that's what I got.
You are right that she's been unable to find the cave. In fact, she's come here in search of it. But she's not like Fen'Harel. There's always something in her eyes that just doesn't seem right. And she asks for aid, but of course we all know better. But as far as the history, were you taught of the way of the three trees in your training?
Ashara nods.
And she looks over at all of you, knowing you're not Dalish and probably have no idea what that means. And she says, Andrel is the creator of the way of the three trees, what we call Vir Tanadal. The first is the way of the arrow. Second, way of the bow. Third, way of the forest. These tenets are, I believe, the key to finding the weapons. However, I have not been able to find them, despite all the time I've had to study and explore this forest since coming here. But there is one thing I have discovered that I can only assume has something to do with her. There's a clearing further north. It's the only place here that I've encountered where the sun shines through the treetops. And there are 4 statues that reside there. I believe that these are the gateway to the 3 trees. Fortunately, I have not had the time as of late to study it more.
Sean's with us, right?
He's not.
Okay. I mean, we could potentially go investigate. That's why we were sent up this way as it is. And anything that's a starting place is good for us.
I know you are right, but I don't think you understand how dangerous Andrel can be.
Ashara
Even to Dylan.
just sort of lets out a laugh, not like as if she's mocking the keeper, but just like, yeah, I'm on that.
And Diani kind of grimaces, thinking back to her conversation with Sarah and what Gillenine has done.
I mean, we don't have a choice, so an angry god or an unangry god, we still have to at least try and look.
Well, perhaps I can at least get you started on the path then. As for these weapons, I do believe they have the power to destroy the Evanuris. I also believe that's why she locked them away. Because one of them, perhaps, wanted them for themselves.
Do you think there's a potential that Andrel is on her own side and not necessarily on his or the other's side.
I have reasons to believe that she could, but based on the nuances of her relationship with Gillinan, it could be either or at this point.
I don't remember from last time. Did I get a chance to explain to the keeper everything that had happened?
I don't know if you had time to.
Okay, I have to think for a second. Sorry.
Not to be rude, but for those of us who didn't grow up on Dalish legend, could someone maybe clarify what the veer of whatever and the trees have to do with the weapons?
The connection to the weapons, I don't know, but the Way of the Three Trees, it's a philosophy for the hunters. Sort of like how to, approach hunting and moving through the forest, and how to stay true to yourself when you're hunting and that sort of thing. But there might be a deeper meaning to it in connection to the weapons, maybe.
And because they're her weapons and her...
And she's our spirit of the hunt. Yes.
Okay.
Is it just hunting or is it fighting?
Ellie doesn't know for certain if there's more different stuff for warriors.
I think she's just the hunt.
That's what I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
too.
I know that there's like different things that are taught to like the second and the first to the keeper, and then there's different things that are taught to the healers, because like I know that Dione wouldn't have as much knowledge about what we're talking about because of that. I'm not sure about like
Because silence.
fighting.
Yeah, the fighting I'm not sure about. I know that like the hunter's philosophy and the healer's philosophy is a little different.
I also feel like fighting falls more under like Elvhen than...
Yeah.
That's all I was wondering, is if we were about to be facing the Elven god of fighting, essentially the strongest fighter
Oh, like war?
in
No.
Elven lore.
No, she's mostly like hunting and like stalking your prey and that sort of thing.
The mention of why she would hide them, and like the mention of them, of her being on her own side. Dione goes quiet for a second and then kind of like turns to Ashara. Do you remember the mural that we saw in the Nicholas Temple?
Ellie does not, I'm sure.
So it was a mural of like Mythal's death, I believe, if I remember correctly. Like it was a mural about what actually happened to Mythal at the hands of the other gods.
Okay.
Could it be a paranoia rather than a choosing the side thing? Could it be a paranoia after what happened there?
She wants to get her weapons before anyone uses them on her. I mean, legend has it that she went mad temporarily, so
Paranoia and hiding them, paranoia and finding them again.
it's not unreasonable to think that way. June seems content to just wait on the sidelines and see how things fall. So maybe she's Yeah, the paranoia does make sense.
We need to make a chart. Who's on whose side and who were the unknowns?
There's a lot of unknowns, and
I don't think it matters as long as none of them get them.
yeah, I think Diani's right. Because gods above know that there's like maybe one person we can trust, and right now we don't know where he is.
She's just gonna reach out and squeeze Bronwyn's hand.
Do we still have our way of getting into the Fade?
No. We don't even have the mirror, so we can't even try to talk to him.
Was it destroyed what we used?
Yeah, it was used up. But the other thing is that I don't know if he's still in the Fade. He told us to get here. I think he was trying to get here. So he might not even be in the Fade. He can travel out of the Fade and in the Fade at will. It's just the other people that he has trouble with.
He just doesn't strike me as the type to ask for a rescue even if he needs it.
He wasn't asking for a rescue.
Well, my point is that even if he needed it, I doubt he would ask. Unless he knew we were lounging on a beach somewhere. I don't think he'd ask.
I think he sent us here for a different reason. I don't know if we'll find him.
I don't like abandoning an ally.
I mean, unless
I'm
someone
not going to abandon an ally.
unless someone has a way to track him. I've lost every way I have to find him and talk to him.
Well, I think that'll be the first thing I ask once we find the Inquisition. If anyone can, it'll be Liliana.
Is it possible to get in touch with Dirtman at all?
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to know what the reaction is. The keeper. Clay says dirt man.
I just want to say that Diani looks up at the keeper with the most apologetic face.
Shara too was just like
They have tried.
She snorts. And just shakes her head.
Ashara will say to the keeper, if you had been through some of the stuff we had been through, you would probably make the same allowances that we do in letting them speak of the gods this way.
Well, to be fair, they don't see them as gods. They're humans. So I think they have every right to get away with it.
But speaking of Dirthaman, we don't know whose side he's on.
I
And
think it's safe to assume that he's not on our side.
yeah, and reaching out to ask any of them for help is just likely to paint a target on the backs of everyone here. And she gestures to like the camp outside the tent.
Certainly hasn't gone well in the past. And Diani kind of glances towards Azira and her thousand.
The keeper does look over at her too. And her expression is just kind of blank as she notices the Valisline finally. I don't know which of the gods we can trust, if any. All I know is Fen'Harel has protected us. And from what I can tell, he has good intentions for the world. The others have not shown that.
Lila's like muttering under her breath for part of that, and then like takes a breath and responds after a moment. Like, I think we can all, she kind of like gestures at the group. I think we can all agree that Falendine has proved to us that he is to be trusted. If by any chance he turns up at the camp, I would hope that he would be welcomed.
To be fair, I doubt anyone would know who he is at first.
Bronwyn is just kind of like holding her little tattoo. I can't say he has any sort of intentions for this world, but he's a good person.
Save us.
He's one of the few that I would trust wholeheartedly. He earned it.
I don't think he's on any particular side to this war.
He's
They
just
abandoned him.
I hope what you say is true. We could always use another powerful ally.
If he does stumble his way in here, you'll know him by his personality.
He's quite the character then.
Oh, yes.
Well, if he does turn up, you'll be the first to know. But in the meantime, without knowing where he is, I'm afraid there's not much we can do to help him.
Then maybe we just need to focus on the tasks that we have, that we know we can at least start on.
I don't suppose any of your magic users know any tracking spells?
None that I think will carry over to the Fade.
I don't know if he's in the Fade.
Do you have anything to track him with? Anything of his?
I have his hints.
Delia's gonna kind of like raise her hand.
Yes, child.
It's like, I think something of his, I think I might count.
What do you mean?
Oh.
Well, as far as I know, in this whole situation, Dirthaman picked me.
Oh, are we looking for Dirthaman or are we looking for...
Oh, I thought we were.
I'm looking for Falendine.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. Disregard that then.
However,
That's a good point.
Good point. I could be his in that manner.
I suppose it's worth a shot. We'll see what the trackers can do. Yes. But in the meantime, there has to be a reason he's sending you specifically for these weapons, rather than telling you what was happening in those last moments.
While he has been the most forthcoming of all of the Evaners that we've met, he doesn't always give us all of the details. He doesn't always have them himself.
That sounds like the Evaners. They always seem to leave him behind, don't they? Well, if you are willing to sit with me for a moment, we'll see if we can figure out how to find him. The rest of you, please get some food, get some rest. Ashara, please see your family. I don't know how much longer you'll be here with us, but take your time.
Lila will kind of lean over, not like as a secret, but just like it's not a huge deal. And remind Bronwyn, he did bless my sword. So if having something of his magic to track will help, let me know. I'm not going to just hand it to you now, but if you need it, let me know.
Thank you.
She'll like, I guess, kind of stand up from bending over to just focus on her, kind of speak to the group and say, I can only imagine that the Inquisition forces are relatively close, I would hope.
And we need to get them not any closer. I don't want them in the camp. I don't want them near the camp.
I would agree, and I would think that they would have the sense to know that even if these folks are not, I know.
They don't know that the camp is here. They're just marching on the forest.
Maybe you should go meet them.
That was what I was about to say that I should do. I merely meant that I it's not as if this camp is hiding. And I would imagine that Inquisition would not be foolhardy enough to just waltz right in.
Yeah, and nothing against the Inquisition soldiers. I know that they're not bad people, and obviously, you know, they wouldn't hurt the Inquisitors' people, but I don't want that many humans near the camp. Tensions are already high, and they're not exactly on Solas's side.
Well, and to be frank, most soldiers aren't going to be, well, we don't exactly pick them for their tact.
Yeah, exactly.
Do I have any way, if they're not extremely nearby, do I have any way of, I guess, contacting all of you if I'm a few miles away?
I can contact you to check in if you would like.
Don't feel like you have to keep me updated or anything, but just if you can let me know what our plans are, where I need to meet you. I assume we'll stay here for tonight and then go to wherever we need to tomorrow morning. She kind of glances around, trying to think in her head, who's definitely going to stay here, who might, should I ask? And it kind of gives up and turns to Seer and says, kind of aiming it at Seer, but saying it to the whole group of, would anyone like to join me?
I'll go with you.
You know, I'll go with you too. I don't think they really like having a lot of humans at this camp.
Yeah.
So I'll think I'll come with you.
It'll be good to have someone with us who can stealth.
Delia's gonna do that, like slap the knees, get up. Yep, same.
All right.
Before Lila leaves, Gianni's just gonna Lila, thank you.
She kind of like glances around, like, what did I do? And literally goes, for what?
Listening.
What? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Listening.
She kind of like makes a little stupid face and like glances over at Bronwyn, thinking back to their previous conversation. Is like, I'm doing it.
Bronwyn kind of nods at her.
And kind of just the awkward soldier thing of like, well, if there's not anything else.
Sprints away in full armor.
Clay's gonna jump over towards Lila really quickly, and he's got a piece of paper out. And he's just scrolling down a note really quickly, and he finishes just as he reaches her, and he tears it out and folds it, and says, "Can you please see if this can be sent back to the Hawkins family, to Will?"
Of course.
And I'm writing a note in my
Good. I
locked
was
channel.
gonna say.
Yeah, I'm writing it down.
Okay.
Is it already like folded up and closed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like haphazardly folded into one of those old fashioned the when you fold up note paper into like a shape of an envelope. Yeah.
Okay. So that group is going to go find the Inquisition now, with plans of being back by morning. Am I understanding correctly?
Yeah, because it's
Meeting.
I think
Meeting
the
where we need
plan
to.
is to have Diani use sending to contact Lila when they're ready to leave in the morning and where to meet up.
Okay. Cool. So, would anyone like to do anything else in the camp?
Are we tracking my dad?
We can track your dad.
I think that
Bronwyn's just,
Diani,
like, staying in the keeper's tent. Like, I'm ready.
I think that Diani would probably take the time to tell the keeper everything that happened, but I do not want to have that conversation in real time.
Valid.
Ashara will bow out. She's gonna go find her siblings.
Diani also wants to have a conversation with Bronwyn at some point, but that can wait until other things are done.
Okay. So let's start with the tracking. The keeper steps over to you. Are you sitting on the ground?
Yeah, I'm just kind of like kneeling there, like waiting while everyone clears out and goes to different places.
She sits in front of you. And holds her hands out to you.
Oh boy.
I don't know if this is going to work, but it's worth a shot.
He did also enchant my axe if that.
We'll try that if this doesn't work.
Okay.
I am going to have you roll. Just roll a d20. Just straight. Sit in that hole. All that stuff.
16.
Okay. I got 12. So, she takes your hands, closes her eyes, and you feel this tingly sensation go through your hands and up, kind of washing over your entire body. And as she's focused on this spell, there's this heat that begins to form between your hands, the two of you. And it just kind of keeps building and building until there's this zap of electricity that kind of shocks both of you, and she just lets go immediately.
What was that?
I couldn't find him.
Couldn't find him, like the magic didn't work, or couldn't find him like there's nothing to find?
I'm not sure. It sort of felt like both. But you're right. We should try your axe. See if that's any different.
Just very quickly like takes it and holds it out.
She takes it, holds it, same process. There's this kind of glow that comes over her hands, and it completely encompasses the axe.
And I use guidance to assist.
Sure.
It just adds a d4 to your roll, but
I'm just gonna re-roll it because I'm gonna keep these out. It didn't help me. So you can see as she's like physically shaking, like her hands are physically shaking as she's holding the axe. There's a bright flash of light with a pop, and she drops the axe and just kind of stares at it with these wide eyes before looking up at you.
What is it?
I can't find him. It could just mean he's in the Fade, but
Thank you for trying.
I'm sorry, Bronwyn.
Yeah. She kind of she just gets up and awkwardly stands there for a minute and then nods and okay. And I'll like just walk out of the tent.
Clay's gonna glance at Diani, but then he's gonna follow Bronwyn. Kind of squeeze her shoulder before leaving.
Yanni looks between the keeper and the tent like she has no idea what to do right now. But we'll stay and have that conversation with the keeper.
Okay. So the rest of you that are going to find the Inquisition, are you like packing up ready to go right away? All right. So you head out of the camp and you're tramping through the dense forest, getting caught up in the branches and the thorns, just as you all kind of did getting there. And you do make it back towards where the forest kind of opens up and you can see the sky up through the trees again. And off in the distance, you do see campfires. And as you get closer, you also realize that there are Inquisition banners that are up in the air. There's probably at least 50 tents. Horses. There's one tent that's larger than the others. Supplies. That sort of thing.
I mean, you know what Lila's doing. Lila's looking for her boyfriend.
Yes. You, as you kind of get closer to the camp, you see a couple like soldiers that you would recognize just from being with the Inquisition. And there's a few that nod to you, recognizing Lila and Asira as well. And one runs up to you and says, what would they call you, Katie? Would they call her sir? Or does she have a title or a rank?
Lieutenant?
I think that's what we've said before, is like lieutenant.
All right. So the scout runs up to you and he says, Lieutenant Trevelyan, good to see you. The commander is at the large tent. You should probably go see him. And he wakes.
She's like mid going like not about to be like thank you, and then he winks. It's just like and just turns and goes and walks.
Oh, Jim.
So I assume you're going to the center tent.
Yeah, yeah.
The rest of you, are you all following too? No? What are you doing?
She's got to have smoochy time. I don't really want to see that. Boyfriend could be dead. Who knows? Just gonna vibe. Just gonna check things out.
Is that code for she's snooping around and stealing shit? You wanna make a sleight of hand roll?
Yeah. We'll do this one. Wrong, but where? This one. Sleight of hand. Okay. That would be a 16.
Okay. So while you're snooping around, you find 200 gold,
Hell yeah.
a potion of healing,
Hell yeah.
and you find this one silver coin. But looking at it closely, you realize that both sides are heads.
Ooh.
All right. Delia or Asira, do you want to do anything before we go to Lila and the commander? Or are you following?
Not being part of the Inquisition, I'm following.
You know what? I'm also gonna follow. Just for fun.
Just for fun.
Give Lila shit later.
All right, so the three of you make your way towards the large tent at the center of the camp. And you can hear Cullen's voice on the other side. He just sounds very frustrated. And there's a couple of soldiers that kind of walk out, shoulders slumped, looking very defeated.
Hearing a
dad.
frustrated Cullen, Delia is going to be like, that sounds way more familiar.
So as you step in, you can see him sitting at a desk, kind of just head in his hand as he's reading over a report. He barely even glances up and says, "Haven't you had enough today?" And then he looks up, sees who it really is, and he's immediately up from his desk on his feet.
Up from his desk or up on the desk?
On the desk. Not yet.
Although it would be very funny if Lila walked in and he was just French girls on the desk.
Oh, yeah.
She's just gonna run over and throw her arms around him and hug him.
He meets you halfway and is just holding you tightly against him. And pulling back slightly, he says, "Are you all right? When I heard you were coming here, I had to come."
I'm all right.
Please shut up.
Right.
Bree, I'm right there with you.
I'm all right. I'm glad to have you here.
Sorry, I completely missed what you said.
I'm all right. I'm glad to have you here.
I just wish it was under better circumstances.
Isn't that always true?
Well,
Delia's gonna slip out. Just be like, I'm gonna leave you to it. Bye.
he kind of steps away, shrugging off the moment when he notices there's other people. He sees Delia walking out and he's like, oh, we have an audience. He just immediately goes back into like commander persona. We aren't really sure where the camp is. We were just told to come here, essentially. Do you have any information that would help us?
Well, we've just been from the Dalish camp.
You were there.
Yes, and given all the circumstances, rather warmly welcomed. Many of Clan Llewellyn are there, as well as the clans of other members of our party. That's where the rest of our party is, back at the camp. I don't know how much has been communicated to all of you, but it's all a little complicated now.
It sounds like it. I mean, was Solas there?
Yes, and as irritating as always.
Then I suggest we band our forces and march.
It's not... She's like, you can see this moment in her face of like, oh God, am I really going to say this? I don't think it's that simple anymore.
What do you mean?
I don't claim to fully understand everything, but it seems as if, well, first of all, it seemed as if Solas neglected to fully explain his plan to the Inquisitor. And he claims there is some sort of, I suppose, attempt to save the world after he breaks it. More importantly, it sounds as if the others of the elven gods are just as determined to destroy the veil, but with no intention of protecting anyone.
So he's not the threat.
Well, given how many times I tried to punch him when we saw him, I don't know if I can quite say that. I don't think I've ever been so annoyed to be ever so annoyed, I suppose. I think, as always, it has become more complicated. The goal that we have currently, and that apparently the elves who are working with him want us to do, and what he wants us to do, is to acquire some ancient elven weapons that are supposed to be able to defeat an elven god, and specifically to keep them out of the hands of the other elven gods.
This all seems very complicated.
I was just thinking how much simpler it is when you're, well, having a maker that's a bit absent.
Yes, I think I quite prefer it to these gods running around, destroying things.
She has Asira left the tent, or is she kind of like hanging back but still there?
The canary in the room trying to hide.
She's just hanging back, but I mean, she can leave if you
No,
would
it's
like.
fine, because she's going to turn to Asira, because there's a moment of like, clearly a moment of, oh shit, I haven't talked about that. And kind of turns to Asira and is like, and then turns back and is like, well, having briefly, I suppose, thought that I met Andraste in the Fade, yes, very grateful that it appears that was a trick. And then I don't have to speak to
Yeah. This is quite a mess, isn't it?
yes.
What do you think we should do with the forces? You have more experience in all of this. You have a better idea of the inner workings. I trust your judgment.
I'm not used to being the one to make any decisions like that.
Get used to it.
From what I understand, we're meeting in the morning to enter a place where the weapons are. It seems to me that perhaps the best use of the forces is to protect that entrance from others entering after us. Perhaps to be there if we need assistance. It strikes me with all the, with the cryptic nature of everything. I doubt it will simply be an army waiting for us protecting these weapons. Seems to me more of a situation of, lore question. Did the Temple of Andraste get publicly, did all of that get publicly shared? Could she reference the trials of Andraste's ashes and people would, it's a thing?
I think that's safe to say. I think that's a good option. I don't think we decided on that one, so.
Okay. It seems to me it'll be more of a situation, reminiscent of the Temple of Andraste's ashes than fighting a force. I'm not sure that more soldiers would really help. But if others come after to attempt to retrieve them just like us, that could obviously cause a problem.
I could send a small group of trusted men. If you think it's necessary, well, we could simply go out the forest, make sure no one else goes in after you.
To be honest, I prefer not to have more people that I feel responsible for with me. I think guarding the entrance is the most helpful thing we can do. And I hope that, having such a diverse party and seeing the Inquisition showing some restraint will be a measure of good faith for the Dalish clans that are gathered.
I think especially since Clan Llewellyn is here, the safest option would be to stay out. Keep them safe as well for Alana's sake.
I agree. Was she able to give any insight? To be honest, I'm a bit baffled by, he was as insufferable as he always is, and arrogant, and but he did sound as if he believed it. That he doesn't, that he at least has some semblance of understanding of the consequences and attempting to protect others from the consequences of his plan.
But do you believe that?
I think he's an idiot who fancies himself a genius.
I think we could say that about a lot of people.
Yes. Well, as I told him, I think leaving him to plan anything is not a wise choice, given that his last plan resulted in Corypheus and everything else that occurred. But I suppose the people who know more than I do about all of this seem to think, well, that he's not the main threat at the moment. Which I can only assume means that he's more trustworthy than the other elven gods at play, which I suppose doesn't really say much, but I have to say, I haven't felt this out of my depth since I came to the Inquisition.
Well, if this turns out anything like that, I think you'll do well. I'll send out patrols further along the perimeter of the forest. We'll keep anyone else from entering.
Is it just Asira in the tent, or are there other soldiers still around?
Just Asira.
Just Asira? She's gotten a little teary by the end of the conversation, not crying, but just clearly emotional. And she just throws her arms around him again and is holding on to him. Ugh, you guys. Did you hear me, Callie?
Oh, was there a question or something in there?
No, just that she grabs onto him.
I didn't hear that either. I'm sorry.
Oh, she's gotten a little emotional. And so he says that last thing and she kind of half nods, but then just throws her arms around him again and is holding on to him.
He holds her. And my cat's gonna fall off my desk. He holds her and says, we'll figure something out. We always do, don't we?
She kind of half nods against him. She's gonna yeah, I think she's gonna turn and look at Asira for a second, just kind of smirk at her and shrug, and then turn back and kiss him. It's her best friend. She doesn't really care.
He is very aware of Asira's presence. His face is bright red, but he doesn't stop you. And when he does pull away, he just kind of keeps his eyes down, face bright red. Right. I have patrols to delegate. Anything you need while you're here, please take it. We're a resource. And we can always get more things if we need them.
She nods and kind of a half smirks at him and says, where am I staying?
Yeah, Asira's gonna leave the room now.
And he's stuttering, well, there's lots of tents. You could pick any of them, or you could stay here, or you could get your own, or you could stay here, or
Oh my god. He's such a goober. She just kisses him again. That's answer enough, right?
With that, we will go back to the Dalish camp. Do we want to start with Bronwyn and Diani?
Are you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so after Diani kind of relays everything that's happened in the last, how long has this been going on at this point? Year?
Close to a year.
And is sure that the keeper's okay with her leaving. She will go to find Bronwyn and Clay, assuming that they're still together.
They're
So
probably
are
just like sitting by a fire or something.
She's just gonna kind of drop down next to Bronwyn and like give them this really tired smile and I'm sorry that it didn't work.
It's worth a try.
We'll find him. Yeah.
How are you?
This is a lot. It's been a lot. I need to talk to you. And it's up to you if Clay stays. And she kind of glances towards him and gives him like a sad smile. But it has to do with something that Hawk told me about the wardens and what it means to be a warden.
That is not his information to share.
I know. And I told him that. And we don't have to talk about it at length. I need you to promise me something. If this goes as badly as I think it's going to go, I need to know that you two will leave and that you will live out the rest of your life somewhere happy and safe.
You think we're going to agree to that?
Don't be. You're joking.
Please. It's kind of my fault that we're in this mess at this point, and I need to know that you two are safe before we anger them further. And if it,
Nothing about what's happening right now is your fault. And
we chose to be here. This is not on anyone in particular. It's our choice. We wanted to be here with you.
but I made a choice before that. And it's dragged you all into this. And you both have been through enough, and I would rather know that you two are safe if this starts to head down a worse road. This is my responsibility.
she kind of leans forward and takes Diani's hand. I already ran away from one family on their deathbed. I'm not running away from this one. We have a
Clay's
better chance together. And if you go down, then I'm going with you.
Clay's gonna take her other hand. I've run away from everything good in my life. Nothing could convince me to run away from this anymore.
Can you at least promise me that if something happens to me, you two will leave?
What do you think is going to happen, Diani?
I
Are you
mean, this is
planning
all-
something?
No, I just. I'm scared of Elvhen. I'm scared of her. I'm scared of what I did, and I'm scared of what the retribution for that might be. And this is a choice that I made knowing that, but I don't want to take it down to. And I would really, really appreciate one that you two were safe.
Diani, if someone sacrifices themselves for this, it shouldn't be you. You can live a full life after this. You can both live a full life after this. And I can't. She kind of like eyes Clay, like knowing that
I was gonna say this
like a truth bomb that he has not heard yet.
this is definitely the first time that Clay is hearing of this, and he's just he's been like, like very seriously like listening to Diani and trying to figure out the vibe of that. And then Bronwyn drops that, and he's just like he just turns and looks at her and is just like calculations,
Diani looks oddly relieved that Bronwyn said it, and she doesn't have to. Ideally, we will all get through this, and we can find a way to fix that for you. And if we get through it, I will do my best to find a way to fix that, but I need to know that you two will
Diani,
be
there's
okay.
there's no fixing it.
You don't
What
know that.
is it?
Just because
Exactly.
nobody's tried.
People have tried.
Are you okay? What is
When you become a Grey Warden, you sign away living any sort of normal life again. If you don't die immediately, you get 5 to 30 years. I've already got one knocked off. I chose this life. I didn't know I was going to find people that I cared about not leaving behind.
Clay looks just rocked by this information. And he kind of like kind of like shuts down for a moment, like no emotion for a moment, and then he turns to Diani and he says, "Do you think that there's a way that we can fix it? There, there's
I don't.
there's got to be accounts of what people have done to try, and we can try other things." And
I haven't exactly studied it.
You can't
Well-
fix it. This is it.
I mean,
People have tried blood magic. They've tried.
Gillenon was the cause of this
everything.
blight, right? We can try and make her do something.
She caused it by waking up an archdemon. She's not in charge of the blight. No one knows what is. I'm sorry, but it's not something you can fix. You can't tinker it away. You can't magic it away. I made this choice. I can't go back.
Okay.
Together then?
Together.
She's just gonna squeeze their hands and toss them and is definitely crying.
Oh, yeah.
So back the Inquisition camp. Let me know if y'all want to do anything there. Snoop around, collect supplies, anything.
I mean, we came here to like deliver letters and kind of let them know where we were, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then yeah, just do the typical restock situation.
Okay. Then we'll go back to camp. Does anyone else want to do anything? Ellie, do you want to do anything with her siblings, or you're muted?
Not on screen. She was just going to basically find her siblings and catch up with them.
Okie doke. Then we will take a break, and when we return, it will be the next morning.
Hooray!
So, you all get a good night's sleep. For those of you that did step into that golden pool, knock one day off of your abilities. Would you like to do anything before you all head off to the thing that she told you about?
I mean, other than general goodbyes to the family and Deshawn.
And
I
then
will cast sending once we figured out where we're going and let Lila know.
So, the keeper actually guides you about halfway just to get you started on the right course. Do you want to send it when you get there, or?
Maybe like once they reach the point where her keeper's not going to continue on, do something there and just wait for Lila to catch up, for Lila and the rest to catch up there, so everyone can travel together without getting lost.
Okay.
And it'll just be because I don't have a ton of I don't think sending has a ton. I think it's 25 words, so it'll just be like a brief explanation of where they are. And then Lila can reply back once.
Will she be replying back?
Can we assume that I understand the directions?
Yes, you understand the directions.
Cool. Yeah, she'll send back just like heading out momentarily. Meet you there.
So it probably takes like 2-ish hours for you to, for the 4 of you to meet up with the rest of the group. So once you are all reunited, you continue on your way. Although you know that it's morning, hardly any light passes through the trees above. Following the keeper's instructions, you continue to travel north. The path through the forest is overgrown with bushes and thorns, hardly even recognizable. Any exposed skin is scratched up as the forest tendrils seem to be trying to pull you back. Mages. That thrum of ancient magic that you felt upon first entering the forest is more intense here, and it almost feels as if it's drawing you towards it as the forest itself pushes back against you. Finally breaking through the thick brush and branches, you find yourself stumbling into a sunlit clearing. This meadow is perfectly circular, the forest surrounding its borders entirely. Above you, the sky is clear, no trees obscuring your view. Through the thick grass that blankets the meadow, you can see that ancient stone tiles have been set into the earth, forming 9 concentric rings. Sitting at the very center sits a stone dais, and across the meadow lie 4 statues staring back at you in order: an owl, a wolf, a dragon, and a hare.
I'm going to go look at the statues.
Looking at the statues, you can just tell that they are very old. They're a little worn out, just weathered from time. But at once they were very intricately detailed, and some of that detail is still noticeable, but because of the weathering, it's not quite as what it used to be.
Each
one is sitting like on a pedestal. Each of the is.
Yes.
Yes.
Can I cast detect magic?
You can.
Okay, better question. Do I think that I will get anything, or do I think that the entire forest is going to glow?
I mean, there is that possibility.
Yeah, I will cast detect magic just in case. I don't want anyone stumbling into anything trappish.
The only thing that seems to glow, aside from like there's like a very dim glow to the entire forest. But the stone dais in the center glows.
I'd like to go check out the stone dais in the center.
Mm-hmm. So carved into the stone are the words, "One sees the hunter." You're muted.
I don't know what it reads, but I know what it is.
What were the statues again, Callie?
From left to right, it's an owl, a wolf, a dragon, and a hare.
Clay's gonna say that out loud. One sees the hunter.
I
So the
want.
whole group can
I would
hear.
like to investigate the eye lines of each of the statues. Like, where are they looking?
They're all just directed towards the center.
Can Nick push a statue?
You can try. If you want
Nick, try. Nick, try push.
She tried real hard.
You try real hard. That would be. Is it what check is it? Strength.
Yep.
That would be a math. 1 second. 24.
Oh, damn.
Nick's strong, remember?
Which one are you pushing?
I'm just seeing if they will scooch.
They do not.
Damn.
Yeah.
Can I just sort of walking along the tiles, just investigating the tiles? Are they just flat stones? Do they have carvings on them?
Each ring has a different animal carved into it. A few of the rings, like as they get closer to the center, they're harder to make out what they are. But one has ravens, one is an owl. Trying to remember what the other ones are. One's a snake, one is a wolf. Don't remember what the others were, but
Corresponding to the Evanurus?
yeah.
Same with the statues, I would assume. It's the dragons. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And then the hair was Angela, wasn't it?
Yeah. Who's the owl? The owl is escaping me. Is that Silas?
Faladine, isn't it?
Faladine.
So was it Bronwyn, the
Faladine.
owl?
So we've got Falandine, Fen'Harel, Andrul, and Mithal represented with the statues.
Is there Callie, I know Gianni would know this and I don't. Is there some sort of story for why Angel's the hair?
So she's actually the hare and the hawk. And there's another animal I think that represents her too. She's got a lot. And I don't remember if there were stories or not. I know the fox is the other one. That one has a story.
You said that the symbols are on the ground. Are they like, what do they look like? You said they were what was it?
They're tiles in circles.
Like rings of tile that get smaller towards the center.
Okay. I want to go look at the snake one because that was my one. I think
There's snake carvings on the rock.
I will look at it. Do I touch it? I want to see if anything happens because associated words.
You touch it, and it is very cool to the touch. A little moist, a little damp from
Gross.
the morning dew.
Gross.
But nothing else really happens.
That's all I got.
Which
walks away.
it just like investigating like which ring is the closest to the dais?
The dais is in the center of the rings.
Yeah, like which set of rings, like what animal is carved into the ones that's the closest?
It is so worn down that you can't even make it out anymore.
So just to be clear,
but we
these are these are like tiles. It's not like one of those things where you can like turn it.
No,
Okay.
it's like
Stone slabs.
cobblestones, but it's like tiles.
Okay, but we can't tell what the middle one is, but we know the animals that are associated. Is there a hala?
There would be on one of the rings.
I was just gonna say we can figure out which one isn't there, but if it's not important, it's not important.
It's not important.
And so all four statues are facing into.
Yep, they're facing kind of turned in towards the center.
What if we turn them away from the center so only the one that can see the hunter is facing it?
Nick tried that. They don't move.
They don't turn at all either. Is that correct, Callie?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't turn.
Can I examine
I'm out
them
of
to see
ideas.
if there's like a hidden button basically on any of the statues?
Do you want to investigate?
Yes.
I'm just over here feeling up all the statues.
While they're doing that, I'm just going to investigate the center dais.
It's just like flat, decrepit rock, but the carvings are in like pristine condition.
I got a 19.
And you're examining them all, right?
All of the statues to see if there's like a hidden thing to press or touch or anything.
So looking closely, so they're all sitting up on these like pedestals. And on one of the pedestals is a glyph that you would recognize from your time in the Inquisition. It's one of the Veilfire glyphs.
Oh.
That
So
is
I'm like, there's a glyph here. I don't know if I really understand what it means, but can someone look at this? I remember this being something that was lit, like was near the torches that had to be lit with Veilfire. That's really all I know.
I'll go over and look, but I don't think that I have like an ability that would work for that. Unless that's something that we may just have, Callie.
I think that you could.
The Veilfire.
Veilfire you can just do. It's not something you've necessarily been taught, but you could figure it out.
Which statue has the glyph?
The owl.
Yeah, if I can figure it out,
You want
I
to
can light
roll Arcana.
Dirty 20.
So you look at this glyph and you can sense magic radiating from it, despite the fact that it didn't show any sense of magic when you cast your detect magic spell. And if you do, based on how you've seen Veilfire, you have this just innate knowledge of what it is and kind of how it works. And based on that feeling of how it works, you are able to conjure Veilfire. And when you do, the glyph begins to glow. And it glows bright green. And the ground around all of you begins to shake. There's a loud rumbling coming from behind the statue. And when it stops, it's opened up behind the owl, a mossy cobblestone path leading further into the forest.
Tyler kind of looks around and everyone just kind of shrugs and starts walking.
The path winds deeper through the trees, streams of sunlight streaming. Wow, that was very eloquent of me, wasn't it? Streaming through the highest branches and eventually opens to a second clearing that is nearly identical to the first. The stone dais sits between you and the four statues: a hawk, a dragon, a hala, and a fox.
Can we look at the same place where Clay found the writing on the first one? Can we look what the writing says?
It says, "One flees from it."
I
Go up to the Hala.
Yeah, I would say I want to investigate the statues.
I specifically, I want to go look at the Hala.
I want to.
Good idea. Good idea.
Looking at the hala, you do see that it has the exact same symbol on it in the same spot.
Then I will light up the glyph.
Once again, the ground shakes around you and the path opens up, continuing behind the hala.
What does the dais say?
One flees from it.
I couldn't hear that. My stream is glitching.
I'll type
One
Okay,
fruit,
thank you.
like runs. It runs from it.
Mhm. Okay. So following this new path, you come to a third clearing. Across from the stone dais are statues of a dragon, a fox, a hare, and a raven. And when you read the carving, it says, "One hunts it in turn."
Are they gonna look at the fox one, maybe?
Or dragon.
Or the dragon?
So there was dragon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You guys going for the dragon?
Yeah, we'll start there.
Looking on the pedestal, you do find the glyph. And as I assume Diani again casts Veilfire, the loud rumble echoes through the meadow. Another path revealed behind the dragon statue. Continuing onward, you find yet another meadow. Beyond the dais, you see another set of statues: a fox, a hawk, a wolf, and a raven. And on the dais, it reads, "One outwits them all."
Fox. No, we just did the fox.
Wolf.
No, we just did
I
the
want
dragon.
to
I'll go with the wolf.
Oh, his foot. Yeah.
Fen'Harel be tricky.
Oh, true. It's not like Sly Fox. We're in a different world.
My first thought was fox too. Don't worry.
Lila rolls her eyes so hard at Solas's arrogance once again that you can like practically hear it.
Ashara will go for the wolf.
You find the glyph. And one Veilfire is cast upon it. This time, as the branches shift to reveal the next path, you find that it's not the forest that waits for you on the other side. Stepping through the trees, you find yourself standing about 20 feet back from the edge of a rocky precipice. Off in the distance, you're able to just barely see across to the other side of the vast ravine. However, in front of you, at the cliff's edge, is a stone archway. Across the top of it are carvings of 3 trees, one more ornate and intricate than the others. And underneath them, the words Virasan.
Diani is going to look to Ashara.
Hold on a second. Sorry, I was writing some notes.
What do the words mean?
So Ashara would know this. She's probably the only one who would. Virasan is Way of the Arrow.
Well, Bronwyn and Diani would know it because it means way of the arrow in Dalish.
But is
So
it?
we just don't know what it means in
Oh,
terms
we
of
don't
like
we
the
don't know what
philosophy.
it interprets to in
Yeah.
the philosophy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there like gravel or whatever around us, like little bits of rock and
Yes.
stuff?
Yes.
Lila would like to take a handful of it and like toss it in front of them, like through the archway where the precipice ends.
So you toss it through and it just falls.
It's not Indiana Jones. I have to check.
Who is Indiana Jones?
Oh no, you heard nothing.
Bronwyn just kind of looks at Ashara and says, "What is that?" What is
All right. The way of the arrow. I mean, the tenant essentially, it just fly straight and don't waver.
Well, then shoot an arrow.
Okay. And I mean, she'll draw an arrow and she'll fire an arrow through just to see.
Through the archway?
Yeah.
All right. So you knock your arrow and release. The arrow flies right through, and you watch until you can't really see it anymore. You can just kind of make out the fletching as it like starts to nosedive.
Nick's walking through it.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bronwyn is also walking through it.
And as straight as a line as I can.
Just like going straight, not stopping.
Confidence.
So
Mom and daughter, let's go.
No,
Could we maybe let someone who's lighter walk through and attach a rope just in case?
no.
Nah.
We both were just kind of I assume we just like both started walking, and Bronwyn just kind of looked at Nick and was like, same thought, and just like kept going.
It's because we're a family now.
I don't know about that.
I mean, this is one way to find Fallon.
So the two of you, are you like next to each other? Is one in front of the other? What's the order situation?
I don't think we're next to each other.
Nah. Nick has longer legs. I'm in front.
All right, Nick's in front.
All right. So Nick, as you step through the threshold and your foot crosses over the edge, you do find yourself standing in the middle of thin air.
So what is it, Indiana Jones?
God damn. Oh, it's a little trippy. Am I on rocks again?
Just keep going straight, Nick.
Okay.
I wanted to be known that Diani full yelps when Bronwyn steps off the cliff.
Ashara is following
This
now.
is not what she meant.
So, is everyone going through, or are you waiting to see what happens?
Waiting to see if we die.
Going through.
Is anyone staying back?
I think Lila is like she's right there, but like she's
Okay.
yeah.
Those of you that are crossing the bridge, make a Constitution save.
See, I think the problem is I was expecting a dex save, which would be bad for me. So
17.
23.
Okay.
damn.
19.
Mm-hmm.
Not 20.
21.
What'd you get?
14.
17.
Okay. So, what's the order? Nick, Bronwyn,
Nick, Bronwyn.
Ashara, Diani.
Clay. And everyone else is staying behind?
No, I'm going. I got a 21.
Oh, then you are at the end of the line. So, okay. As you're walking, Clay and Bronwyn, you find yourselves, you take a step forward and there's nothing under your foot and you're falling.
You're muted.
My stream is freezing a lot. I don't know what's going on.
You
We're walking.
fell.
I fell. Okay.
You
I
wanna
just heard
come in
and
here?
falling, and I'm like, oh, I'm falling.
Did everyone fall or?
Just them.
Mom, catch me.
Essentially, what happened is you veered too close to the edge, unable to see the bridge itself.
Can I try to grab Clay since he's behind me?
And can I try to grab Bronwyn since she's right in front of me?
Roll dex.
Oh, thank God. Wait. Okay, it's still good. Is this dex save or just straight dex?
Straight dex.
23.
21.
Yeah, you are able to catch them by the wrist. Bronwyn is very heavy. She's got armor on.
Yeah.
I don't have that much armor on. I really don't have that much armor on anymore.
This is true.
Because you're barbarian, right?
Yeah, I
Mhm.
took off most of my armor.
Well, I rolled a 15 on strength.
Okay.
Do I also need to roll strength, Kelly?
No, y'all are good.
Oh, thank God.
So you were holding them both, dangling over the edge, like by the wrist. And you are able
Myself
to
up?
kind of struggle to pull them back up. Now aware of how narrow this path really is. And it is pretty close to a mile across.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm. So
After Bronwyn falls and Ashara like touches her, it's just this slew of like Dalish curses, just like and it's just like echoing around and just like and then like thank you, and then she just as she keeps walking, just under her breath, just more just Elvhen curses.
Shara just watches proudly.
So the moment people start to fall, Lila like steps forward, like she's gonna try to help, and then is like, chit, I can't because line. But she's coming right after then, but is like staring at her feet, trying to put them literally like right in front of each other. But says like loudly, but with her head completely down, like, I would really appreciate it if we would be a little more careful.
Delia, are you following? Okay. So you all
I love the
continue.
silence after telling everyone to be more careful. They're all just like, sounds like a suggestion that I won't follow.
Shara.
Or like there's only so much we can do right now.
Mhm.
Ashara would maybe sarcastically call back. The other translation of that tenet is to be swift and silent.
Bronwyn shuts up when she says that. She just all of a sudden the cursing stops.
So as you all continue your mile-long trek across this seemingly endless ravine, that's where we're gonna end it tonight.